Hello everyone, today we're taking a look at the new Caddx Nebula, I guess you call it version 2. Unfortunately, I don't see any way you can identify when you buy a Nebula camera on whether it's version 1 or version 2, and there is a ginormous difference in picture quality. Big. I'm happy about that, but I'm also very much concerned when it comes to you guys making a purchase of a Caddx Nebula. What are you going to get? I don't know if these warehouses do like a grocery store first in or first out, or if they just get shoved on the shelf and it's random luck on which one you get. I reached out to Caddx. I haven't heard anything back yet. If by the time this video gets published I have heard back, I'll note it in the pinned comment down in the comment section below. So if you want to know what's the difference or how to identify the difference between version 1 version 2 outside of video performance or video quality, I'll put that in that pinned comment, which will be the first comment that you see in the comments section. I also wanted to notice so the Nebula camera, it's already in here. I've already been flying it. That's why I can tell you it's such a big difference. But when I took it, it comes with a cable already attached. And instead of taking apart the Vista stack in order to attach the cable, I decided to take apart the Nebula in order to attach the cable that was already in the Vista to the Nebula. And if you look closely, there's only 2 screws that hold this back on. And if you look real closely, let me zoom in. You see a problem? The top right screw? Yeah, it snapped off. So I can't put the back on. I would have to tape it or glue it back on. And therefore, the back end is just kind of hanging out here. You can see I've got 1 screw still here. The other screw is probably in my tray. I've got a magnetic tray. But yeah, that was disappointing to have that turn. And I think the other one may have broken down in there as well because it looks awful shallow hole. I wouldn't think that that screw is down in there. So that's something to be aware of if you do buy a replacement camera. That, you know, my experience with taking the back off the original Nebula is that the screws are very, very tight, and I broke them getting them off. I broke at least one. I think it's very clear I broke at least one. I may have broken both of them. Let me take a look at this screw here. Zooming in there closer. I don't know if that screw looks broken or not. It kind of looks broken because it's got such a flat end on it. Anyways, I wanted to let you guys know. So we're going to watch some flight footage. I'm going to start off with the snippet that I put on Facebook of the P16 or the Pig or the Thinking or whatever you want to call it. It has both inside and outside. Take about a minute and a half to watch that. And then we were going to look at the Caddx Nebula version 2. Please note, especially the outside performance in this snippet that I'm originally going to play with the original Caddx Nebula. So this is the inside flight. Again, I put this on Facebook, and I'm a little bit cautious that, you know, if you buy one of these, how do you know which one you're going to get? Again, I've said it a couple times already. These things get missed all the time when it comes to me talking in videos. I'll put any information that I get about how you can tell on which Caddx Nebula you would be purchasing or which one you would get when you buy a quad in the first comment in the comments section, because as of this moment of this recording, I don't know how you'd be able to tell which version you get, and there is a big difference. So the inside performance isn't bad by any stretch. You know, this is DJI. This is low latency mode as it is on all Caddx Vistas, and it's also the 50 megabits, so you have that added image performance or image quality. And I've got all the lights on, of course. You can look at those lights, like especially the one in the living room, how it has cast that sort of blue. And then I did this at night specifically because it does not look very good at sun. Again, this is the original Caddx Nebula. We make several circuits throughout the house getting... this is a fun quad. I like flying this quad. I know that not everybody is going to want a 3S quad that's a 40 millimeter prop that's almost 100 grams all up when you're flying, but I enjoy this. I flew this again just today, and I really had a good time. Now, this is the outside footage, and pay a particular attention to that sky. It looks bad. That sky look, and the edges of those trees when you're looking at the skyline. Now, when you're down at the ground, it doesn't look too bad. Of course, this isn't a particularly real bright, full bright sunny day either. We've had, during this period of time, we've had storms kick up and through here, and I think this flight through the creek, which I'm going to show you in the footage of the version 2 Nebula, I did a better job in this flight than I did in the other flight. It's basically because, well, I'm going to blame it on some wind. Maybe it's pilot error as well. Maybe I had too much coffee and too jittery on the sticks. So you can see that hue and shimmering that we've got in the leaves and where the upper part of the image where the sun is and the skyline is. You can barely make any of that out. And here we are outside. As you can see, this is a very bright section of the day. Of course, we had some clouds cook up. but this is much better. It's not perfect. It's not as good as the DJI camera still, but this is much better. This camera weighs 5 grams less than the DJI camera. And so when it comes to flying on a smaller prop, this camera needs to be considered, especially now that they've corrected a big portion of the image performance or clarity. We're going to go across to the neighbor's house. I'm going to head down to the creek there again, and again, look at the sky. So look at the cloud. See how clear the cloud is and how much better the leaves look and the sun in general. And then I get down through the creek, and I really like this pass. I like the pass better in the previous one, but I enjoy this. There's a little bit of a risk factor because we do have water in there. Water quads, they really don't like each other. I wasn't nearly as smooth down there, and I missed my route on that tree that I like to fly under, but I follow this cable up this little kind of ravine back up into our backyard. Our neighbors are selling their house. I've said this before. Gary and Diane, their kids are all full grown and have families of their own, and now Gary and Diane are relocating to where one or more of their kids have started their own family, and they are going to be missed. We've enjoyed being neighbors for the last 12 or 13 years, and they've been good to us and a good part of our little neighborhood community. We will miss them. This is, of course, a good section of flight outside where you get to see more distance, not just restricted to the back. Again, this is focus mode on, and this is with the DJI update to 50 megabits on the flying performance or the video resolution performance. And this is dramatically, I said it many times in this video, this is dramatically better than the original. This is at the very least what the original should have been. I think the first one was a little bit of a mistake. They should have sent that out and got some feedback before they started selling, especially quads with it already in there. The P16 from GetRC, unfortunately, that's a good quad, but who knows what camera you're going to get. And that's a tough spot as someone who's interested in buying a DJI Whoop. What am I going to be getting? Am I going to be getting the original, or am I going to get a V2? And I don't know if you could even ask the vendor and get a good answer out of that. So I sure hope I can get some feedback. Maybe they've pulled all the others from the market. They've bought them back from all the resellers, and they've replaced them with V2s. That's my hope, is that you just don't have to worry about it. But in the back of my mind, maybe it's my pessimistic view of this. I am concerned that someone's going to buy one of these and get that original when you're looking for the V2 performance. We've been down the creek a little bit. We've had a few nice little passes around in the full sun. We could still see, like if you look up there in the trees, you still see a little bit of an oddity in those leaves, but it is much better. Again, you can scroll back in the YouTube timeline and look at my original Nebula footage, and you can see essentially the same passes. If you want to line them up in maybe two different browser windows views, this is much better. Let's also look, just for good measure, at some inside flight. Here's some inside flight, and I am trying to fly a little slower, but flying slow can be hard for me, especially inside. I always want to push that right stick forward and get the nose down and just go. But I'm trying to fly a little slower, and of course, this isn't a direct comparison because this is during the day versus my other one was at night. But I did the other one at night because during the day didn't look nearly as good. So this gives you a sample of the camera performance inside when you have sun coming through the lights or sun coming through the windows, and you get to look at my lights again, especially that blue hue of that light. I don't even know if that's an LED light in the living room. And the living room, there's kind of two spaces you might think of as a living room. We call one the kids' cave, which is where the kids hang out, watch TV, do arts and crafts, stuff like that. That's kind of spilled out into the front dining room, but then in the living room, where the big L-shaped couch is, that is what we call the living room. That light on the ceiling in there looks a little bit odd. Of course, we've been in the basement here while I've been talking about the living room, so not all that helpful. But we make our passes in the basement, and you get to see the image quality for the Caddx Nebula, and hopefully they can improve this further. They pretty quick turnaround from the original to V2, and maybe in V3 we'll see even greater performance, and we'll just be able to shed 5 grams. And as a micro guy, 5 grams is important. And you can also shave some weight if you're getting a P16. Gal Kramer, he took the heatsink plates off, and he's got a video on his channel of not only how to do that, but I think you save a little over 6 grams, which is substantial, again, in micros. I have not done that myself. I'm just a little hesitant because it's so hot here. If I'm flying in the middle upper 90s and I don't have those heat shrinks on there, am I going to be causing damage? I guess I'm always hesitant because even if I don't keep this, it'll one day when we go back to normal life, I'll be doing giveaways again, and I don't want to give something away that may end up dying because of heat. So I haven't done that yet, but if you want to pursue it, Gal said it's safe. He hasn't had any problems yet, but I would go to his channel and watch his video on it to get all the information about shedding some weight on your Caddx Vista. I think that's quite a bit of flight footage. I think you've probably reached a conclusion of your own. Maybe you don't disagree. Let me know what you think. Is the improvement only minor? Maybe I'm being too dramatic about this. Maybe the improvement isn't enough for you. All opinions are always welcome here on the channel, and I would sure like to know what you think. I was impressed, but maybe those that have a better vision for video and video artifacts and defects can correct me where I might be failing. So if you're looking at this camera, go down there in the comments section and read the comments of those experts that we have on this channel, leaving their information in the comment section below. And if you do have any comments, questions, suggestions, otherwise, please let me know in the section down below. I appreciate your time, and thanks for watching.